Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. It's Tuesday, time to talk about some new releases coming out this Friday, September 6th. There's about 500 albums coming out this week. I got 12 on my list for today. There's a bunch of links down below. You got links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist that I put together every week, and the Patreon page. So make sure you check all that out. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. Like I said in the intro, there's about 500 albums coming out this week. I'm only going to talk about 12 though today, so if there's something I don't talk about, make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to grabbing. And like always, if you're unable to find these in your local brick and mortar stores, they should all be available online. I'll put links down below in the comment section. There's also a link down there for the Vinyl Den and Amazon store. You can always go on there and check out all the new releases, pre-orders, a bunch of like cool vinyl accessories, all sorts of stuff on there. Make sure you check that out also. Big release this week for me is this 10,000 Maniacs MTV Unplugged. This came out back in 1993. This is going to be a 2 LP release. It's all newly remastered. It's never been available on vinyl before. It's going to run you about $34 online. This is the band's most popular album. It's the most commercially successful album. I also think it's one of the best unplugged performances. It might be, obviously it's not as good as I think the best ones are always going to be Alice in Chains, Nirvana, and Pearl Jam. I think are the best three up there. This performance is not that far behind it though. I'm not a big 10,000 Maniacs fan, but these like stripped down versions I think work a lot better than the studio versions that are on their albums. But this is, like I said, first time it's ever been available on vinyl. It comes with 3 additional tracks that weren't on the CD release. This is also the last album that Natalie Merchant was on before she left and started her pretty successful solo career. So, like I said, one I'm definitely looking forward to grabbing. I know there's a lot of people out there that are really excited for that release. Then you got the new album from David Gilmour, Luck and Strange, coming out. This is his 5th studio album. It's going to run you about $38. There's a couple of different versions of this. There's a black version. There's a white version, which is the Amazon exclusive. There's also a translucent sea blue version. So there's a couple of different versions going to be available out there of this album. So this is his first album in 9 years since he released Rattle That Lock back in 2015. Once again, Polly Sampson is writing all the lyrics on this album, just like she has for pretty much every album. Well, I think all of his albums since The Division Bell with Pink Floyd. She wrote a lot of the tracks on there also. So he's doing the music, she's doing the lyrics on there. I've never been a huge fan of her lyrics, so maybe that's the issue I had with Rattle That Lock. I thought musically it was a really good album, but some of the lyrics, I don't know, sometimes they kind of throw me off. So I thought they did a better job collaborating between the two of them with On an Island. So like I said, I'll wait to stream this one and see if I want to grab a copy when it gets released. There's a couple really big anniversary releases coming out this week also. The first one you got is Madonna, Like a Prayer. Came out back in 1989. It was her 4th studio album. It's a 35th anniversary release. It's going to be on silver vinyl. It's going to run about $25 online. I think this is probably one of her best, at least her most complete album. It's a deeply personal album also. It was highly controversial when it first came out with all the religious imagery, especially in the Like a Prayer video. It was huge though. It's one of the biggest selling albums of the 1980s. It sold over 15 million copies. It's one that, like I said, it's one I don't have on vinyl. I definitely need to grab a copy of it when it gets released this week. And then the next one is Alanis Morissette, supposed former Infatuation Junkie. So this came out back in 1998. It was also her 4th studio album, 25th anniversary release, even though 25th anniversary was last year. It's going to be about $33 online. It's a 2 LP release. There's a black version. There's a clear version, which is the indie exclusive. This is another album that it wasn't as big as the album that came out before. So this is the follow-up to Jagged Little Pill, which is an absolutely massive album. But at least I think with this album, musically she was much more experimental with this album while still being really personal. And there for a while it held the record for the highest opening week sales by a female musician. The funny thing is, and a lot of people might not know this, but the very first song on the album, Front Row, at least in part, is about Kevin Smith, old Silent Bob himself. But like I said, it is a really good album. It's one I haven't listened to in a while, so I definitely need to stream it and check it out again. There's also a couple of really interesting looking jazz releases coming out this week. Both are part of the Blue Note Tone Poet series, which, I love the Tone Poet series. I love the Classic series. Classic series albums tend to run a little cheaper, they're about $10 cheaper. Both of these are going to run you about $39 online. But the first one is Jackie McLean, Let Freedom Ring. Came out back in 1962. Like I said, it's a Blue Note Tone Poet series release, so it's always going to be mastered by Kevin Gray from the original analog tapes. It's pressed in RTI. These things always sound great. They come in like a deluxe gatefold jacket also. this is really interesting album. It's a very bold avant-garde album, really kind of help usher in free jazz in the 60s. And it's a really influential album. It became a really influential album. So this album was actually announced earlier this year. So it was probably within the last, I'd say 3 or 4 months I listened to this. And it's a fantastic album. It's definitely one I'm going to grab this week. It's got Walter Davis Jr. on here, Herbie Lewis, Billy Higgins. Like I said, it's got these like really like political themes on there. It's kind of cool. It's definitely a cool album to kind of go through and check out. Then you also got the Modest Jazz Trio, Good Friday Blues, coming out. It's released back in 1960. Like I said, it's all mastered by Kevin Gray, pressed to RTI. So this trio, this is the only thing they ever recorded and released together. So on here you got Jim Hall on guitar, you got Red Mitchell on piano, and Red Kelly on bass. So this is all put together. It was just an impromptu recording session. The early morning hours of Good Friday in 1960. I've never listened to this before, but I've read a couple of reviews on it, and it's supposed to be this like really cool kind of bluesy jazz album. So like I said, it's another one I'll definitely check out this week. The next album is a really cool release. It's part of the Verve Acoustic Sound series, overseen by Chad Kassem from Analog Productions. These are all mastered by Ryan K. Smith. They're pressed at QRP. These are always great sounding albums, but this is a really important album also. That's Nina Simone in concert, released back in 1964. It's going to run you about $39 online. So this was recorded in March and April 1964 at Carnegie Hall in New York. And this album really kind of kicked off this really big, important period for Nina. This was the first album in her civil rights oriented period of music, and like I said, it ended up being a hugely influential album. I know Pitchfork had it listed as one of their top 100 albums of the 1960s, and one that if you're unfamiliar with this album, it's definitely one worth going back and checking out. And then a new release that's like on the complete total end of the music spectrum from Nina Simone is the Dead Daisies, Light 'Em Up. This is their new album. It's their 7th studio album. It's going to run you about $24 online. Orange and Red Marble Vinyl. This is the band's first album since John Corabi rejoined the band. It's his first album since Burn It Down came out in 2018. And if you're a fan of 80s hard rock, definitely check out the Dead Daisies. I prefer them with John Corabi on vocals. I think those albums that he's on are better than the other ones. Like I said, Burn It Down was a fantastic album, so I'm definitely looking forward to checking out this new album this week. And like I said, if you're unfamiliar with them and you're a 80s hard rock fan, definitely check them out. You also got the next release in the Neil Young Archives series coming out this week. This is Neil Young Archives 3 Takes. So this is 2 different versions of this are going to be available. There's a big 17 CD, 5 Blu-ray box set. It's going to run you about $240. And then there's a 2 LP version, which is like a compilation of tracks off that box set. It's going to run you about $35. The 2 LP version has 16 tracks on it. It's 1 track from 16 of the 17 CDs in the box set. But it's got 3 unreleased tracks and 12 previously unreleased versions. Most of the stuff on this box set are all like outtakes and live tracks. They're all recorded from between 76 and 87, which is a really interesting period for Neil Young. If you're a big Neil Young fan, this would definitely be a cool one to check out. Maybe I'll stream some of the stuff that's going to be on the LP version. Maybe I'll grab that if I can find it on sale somewhere. And then you also have Jimmy Buffett, Changes in Latitudes, Changes in Attitudes. This came out back in 77. It was the 7th studio album. It's all newly remastered. It's going to run you about $28 online. Of course, Margaritaville was an absolutely gigantic song off this album. I'm not the biggest Jimmy Buffett fan. This is the only album of his I've ever owned. I've got a copy of it on CD. For $28, I might grab a copy of it on vinyl also. But this is the album that really kind of introduced the world to this whole like island escapism vibe from Jimmy Buffett. It's also his first platinum album. Like I said, it's definitely one worth checking out. I don't own a copy of it, so maybe I'll grab a copy this week. There's also a reissue of Ghost, Opus Eponymous, coming out this week. This was released back in 2010. It was their debut studio album from the Swedish heavy metal band. It's going to run you about $30 online. This album really introduced the world to their brand of hard rock mixed with like Satanism, a little bit of the occult in there. It's a really cool album to kind of go through. It's not my favorite album from the band. And the funny thing is, if you look at the Ghost persona, and then you look at Tobias Forge like outside of the makeup and the costumes and all that stuff, the guy looks like he could be like a Sunday school teacher almost. It's really kind of a very stark contrast, what he is off stage to what he is on stage. But this is a really good album. Like I said, I don't think it's one of their best albums, But it's definitely one worth checking out if you're unfamiliar with it. I will say it was met with like critical acclaim. And the cool thing is, I didn't realize this till just recently, but the album artwork is actually like a reference to the 1979 miniseries Salem's Lot, which that's kind of cool. I love the tie to Stephen King there also. And the last one on my list is Santana 3, released back in 1971. It was their third studio album. So this is a music on vinyl release, so it's going to be a little bit more limited. It's going to run you about $37 online. It's limited to 1,500 copies. It's going to be pressed on translucent yellow vinyl. So music on vinyl releases are always pressed out of the Netherlands, so they can tend to take a week or two delay until they make it here to the U.S. So if you're looking to grab a copy of it, you might have to wait a week or so to grab. This is a really good album. This is the band's last album to go number one here in the U.S. until Supernatural in 1999. It's also the last album from the original like Woodstock lineup of Santana. And it's an album that, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's definitely worth streaming and checking out. I don't think it's Santana's best work, but it's definitely up there, I think. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to grabbing this week. There's definitely some cool stuff coming out. And, I'll probably grab that 10,000 Maniacs. I'll probably grab like a prayer also, because like I said, I don't have a copy of it on vinyl. I'll stream the new David Gilmour album. I might grab one or two of those jazz releases also, but let me know what you're looking forward to grabbing. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.